You family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life in your own narrative, family, because it's your own narrative that will carry you from this fake reality into the new earth, into what is real, into how it was always supposed to be, but now with the flavor of the dark ages, which we're coming out of, the Kali Yuga, the dark times, the season, the very long season of chaos, family. Special shout out to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us on that platform. Thank you so much, family, to every single person that has sent us a donation this year and supported the channel in, even with just commenting, with liking, with sharing. Remember that our voices are being oppressed, or not so much being oppressed, but many more people are hearing, are listening to, Black consciousness YouTubers than they would like us to believe. They don't want us to be the face of the revival. They don't want us to be the face of the so-called awakening, which is a restoration and revival for us. And that is why there's been so much shadow banning and playing with our numbers. And they play with the numbers of even their own Muzungu so-called revolutionaries. But for us, especially our conscious voices, but they're getting out there. They're getting out there. It's funny because someone sent me, and this is kind of tied into today's story, someone sent me this Russian website where they pull the raw data from YouTube the minute like a video is uploaded or whatever, and then and then they're literally just reading those algorithms before they're manipulated by the system. Let me put it that way. And if you go on there and you see the kind of numbers that the, melanated conscious community is getting, then you can understand, overstand, and understand why there's this feeling of acceleration in the awakening of our people, because it's definitely there. And I just wanted to share this story. It's a big win as we end the year, and it shows you the power of a story, the power of us coming together and collectively rejecting those things that have oppressed us or try to oppress us, those things that are trying to take us out. Because the one thing we have right now, family, is our voice. We may not have armies, we may not have nuclear bombs, we may not have, we don't produce guns, we don't make any weapons, but we have our voice. And our voice is changing government policy, not just on the motherland, but in foreign nations. Our voice is forcing our governments to do better. Our voice is literally what is holding the New World Order at bay from the motherland. It's and also our consciousness is growing. Maybe I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about this story another day, because this is I'd wanted to do a story on this and it's already coming. So let me just talk about that. So one thing that we've gained, family, is a powerful voice. When we speak out against something, governments do something. Whoa, the bumblebee. Okay, all right. International organizations sit up and pay attention. Because I keep telling you guys, it's all about the narrative. And it's all about the attention of the group consciousness. The one thing that, I'm intending for, or just putting my vibes towards, they say pray, I'm talking about PRAY, is that this will grow more and be more consistent, because it kind of tends to fizzle out. Like we'll all get excited about something and then literally it will fizzle out. And part of it is because Babylon is always trying to put us on this news cycle. So there's always a breaking news. There's always something else to focus on. So they're always trying to just move our attention so that we don't have enough time to focus our attention on one thing and actually create a totally transformed situation, experience, laws, everything. Because it is the voice, not even just the African voice, but the global voice that stopped the rollout of the New World Order. Oh, they're still coming in their other ways, but the major onslaught that they were doing with the lockdowns and everything, it was the consciousness of the people that had reached a certain level. It's like they implemented it too late, but they had to wait for their dates and, because they do everything according to the time and the calendar for optimal impact. But it's like our consciousness, enough people had awakened where the consciousness literally rejected that path or that narrative of like global lockdowns where now it would become normal for people to be shut down. It's going to be very hard for people to go back to that. And that was just going to get increasingly worse. But it fell apart at the seams, and now all kinds of research is being done around that family. Please, always go deeper with your research. Look into alternative voices. You can even search it, search certain words and everything, and you'll see. Because the mainstream media doesn't want you to know how much we're winning. So that's one thing. The first thing I think that we gained this year as a melanated people was a powerful voice. Where when we speak something, it actually changes reality. And there's a story I was going to share, which I'll share in another episode, is how Namibia has taken down, I think almost a year or 2 years later after George Floyd and all the taking down all these colonialists. Namibia has taken down a major colonialist who was in the heart of their city and moved him to, so a random museum somewhere and put, to remind us of the genocides. And they're talking about how now they've gotten the soul of the city back. And you see, that was triggered by our collective voices speaking up and against the colonialists. And they tried to bring so much different narratives that, the Mzungu was trying to do this on purpose to hide who they've always been, and this was happening and that was happening. But their altars fell. And it shows you that like 2 years later, they continue to fall. And that shows you the power of our voices, family. And that voice is what has done things like, actually, this leads more to the second thing that has really grown, and which is our group consciousness. More and more and more, the African group consciousness is coming online. And truth is overriding the lies. Because, for so long, what Babylon had colonized was not the people or, the people, yes, but more the consciousness of the people. But it wasn't the land and all that they try and make us focus on, even the mental. It was they colonized our group consciousness. And then it was constantly fed with their garbage and their nonsense. Through the education systems that they set up, through the religious institutions that they set up. Then behind the scenes, they were setting up Luciferian institutions as well. Then the next thing you hear, most countries say, freedom of religion. When the whole brotherhood started to be exposed. But now we're seeing, I think a report just came out that said only 11% of Africans ended up getting the double Big Mac. That's a big victory. That's because of the consciousness. And of course the ancestors who placed, literally a consciousness barrier and protected as many people as they could. But it's like the group consciousness, before that came, our people's group consciousness had already kind of started to knit together through these electronics, through the WhatsApps, through the YouTube channels, and people had already awakened and were sharing all this revolutionary information with each other about the New World Order and what's really happening in their countries. So it shows you that our group consciousness has really started to come together, which means we're going to start to move as one. We're going to start to think as one. The age of separation among our people is coming to an end. This bumblebee is just excited. All right. Hey, hey, hey. Oh my gosh. And the third thing I would say, I don't even know how many I'm going to do, that a win or a power that we gained is spirituality. So many people, family, on the motherland are returning to the God of their people, to the God of their ancestors, are reconnecting with their ancestors. There is a major awakening happening. And there's so much exposure about the churches and the powers, the so-called powers of the darker realms that they've been using to kind of trick the people. So it's like there's so much exposure about how they do it. And there's been this growing disillusionment with the church among the African people and religion, especially among the young people who are like, there's got to be more. And they have access to so much information. So what we're witnessing, family, is absolutely like incredible. It's like a grassroots revival. And the way we see that it's really manifesting is people are starting to ask questions. You know, a lot was warped about the African family that entrapped us as well, and I'll do a whole separate show on that, where we couldn't even ask questions. As young people, we just had to follow that conveyor belt thinking, conveyor belt mentality, conveyor belt religion, conveyor belt, you know. It's crazy that first thing in the morning, someone is cutting a tree. People don't even understand, overstand, or understand what messing with nature at this time will do. But those are stories for other days, family. But as I was saying, our people are starting to ask questions. The young people are starting to ask questions. And they're starting to look for those answers elsewhere, and they have access to the information. We are among the first generation that has access to the truth that has come to us in another back to front way. We're among the first generation that has been allowed to see the lie of religion, the hypocrisy of democracy, and how, you know, they lied to our people, they lied on our people, created so much self-hatred, so much lack of belief in ourselves, destroyed everything and then whitewashed everything. And that exposure is creating kind of a revolutionary spiritual revival among our people. And it's absolutely amazing to see, family. And so as these grow, I think the thing that we should be moving into is that may the African voice grow more, and may it be more sustained, where we can keep it going for weeks and months, not just a few days trending on Twitter or whatever, but where we can sustain it for weeks and months until governments have to do something. Because that's the people power is what they fear the most, and family, that's literally all we have. And they may try and make us feel like it's nothing, but it's absolutely everything. Because the thoughts, the consciousness creates reality. So when we combine our voices and we speak as one African voice, we have a seat at the table. They'll never tell us that, family. But we now have a seat at the global table where how we feel about something, the optics of a story is being thought about very carefully. And we saw it with Billy Goat coming to Kenya. And you can see even the leap of consciousness among our people, which is the second point, where GMO has been discussed for the last month, family, until I think it's the Kenyan Peasants Federation or something came out and went to the Supreme Court or the High Court and blocked the plans of the enemy and blocked literally the importation of maize, of GMO maize, until their thoughts are heard. But it's like the consciousness has rejected that. And so in that, because a lot of people are like, oh, they've probably already done it, we have no power. But because we collectively kept saying no, 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 the government can't push it down people's throats. It's now energetically creating a reversal, family. And that's why those of us who have been awakening the people, we shouldn't get tired. Our ancestors and the Most High may lead us to do it in a different way because our people are ready for that. But we shouldn't be getting tired. We should actually be overjoyed because we made it to the next phase. And now the awakening is not so much about, look what's happening to us. But it's more about individual. Like, look at who you can be. Look at what awaits you. Look at the great assignment that is upon your life that must be fulfilled in this season. Look at all the inheritance and the blessings that are your portion that just need to be claimed by you verbally, so that the atmosphere can start shifting and changing to bring that into your life. So the awakening needs to continue, and our own individual awakening. The more we anchor our awakening as our new reality. Because literally, family, I'm hardly able to remember my life before I started awakening. It has consumed me. It's like I went into a tunnel and now I'm getting onto the other side. And I don't even remember what the city, what the town looked like, what the time looked like before I got in that tunnel. But I've been in that tunnel for so long and now I'm coming out that it just feels like a birth canal moment. And so we just have to anchor in the new earth, anchor in this new us. And we'll be playing the greatest role of our lives, and we'll be assisting Mama Earth in ways that can't even be described, family. What other wins do you feel we've had as a global melanated people? What other powers do you think we've come into in 2022? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, the greatest one is that enough of us have reconnected with our ancestors and with our ancient ones across the world. It didn't need everybody. It just needed enough for a tipping point that now the ancestors and the ancient ones are in control. And if you allow them, they are ready to start to manifest in your life and help you to completely transform your reality. Tuko pamoja.